for example, everybody knows of the terminology insulin resistance, but do they really understand what it means?
Yes, that is a very important subject. Insulin is what they call an incretin hormone. And in essence, for the people who want to be really into it, it can also be a peptide. But insulin as a hormone, think about all the hormones in your body. There's not a single one of your hormones that is high all the time. It does not get switched on. There's no glandular tissue in your body that will secrete a hormone to be on all the time, even male testosterone. Although many people think, oh, look at that guy, his testosterone must be high all the time. No. In a 24-hour cycle, that or testosterone is really high early in the morning, then it tapers off to almost nothing. So there is a cycle in everything. Female hormones, there's cycles to it. It gets secreted, then it gets burned down. Thyroid hormone, the same thing. There's so many hormones that you can mention that all of them have pulses, just like insulin. Insulin is only supposed to get secreted when you eat, and when you eat mostly a carbohydrate meal. You do get some insulin secretion when you eat protein, but you don't get any insulin secretion when you eat fat,
And
which is
that's also
amazing.
the interesting part there is though, because there's two things here. We've been encouraged over the last 20, 30, 40 years that we've got to eat 4-5 times a day. So if we are now thinking that every time you eat, insulin is going to be secreted, because we're talking standard American diet, okay? Because there's no ways you and I can eat 5 times a day. That's not going to, I do not have place for that. But that in itself then is an issue, because now you are causing your insulin to be constantly secreted. And then the other thing that you and I have always spoken to, and we encourage people to do, is have your doctor do a fasting insulin blood work. 99% of them will say, oh, we do that. And you should say, no, not a fasting glucose, a fasting insulin. That will really help.
I so agree. In all the blood work that I've ever done with my doctor, they have tested A1C, which is basically, in short, it gives you information about how well your glucose control was over the past 3 months. So it's a very handy tool. A fasting glucose is a handy tool too. On its own, it does not really mean much. But a fasting insulin can give you a very clear picture of the level of insulin resistance you might already experience. And that fasting insulin means you have to be at least fasted for 12 hours. If you have not been fasted for 12 hours, the picture is not that clear. And with fasting insulin, we like it to be around 6 or less. Anything above 6, there might be indications of some form of insulin resistance already. And if it's above 12, there's a problem.
Big
There's a
problem.
big problem.
And then the other thing too, and like I said, we are still constantly learning more and more about insulin, that the constant elevated insulin, majority of those people will have high inflammation. They'll have
Yes.
aches and pains in places. It's not the same for everybody, but they'll have these aches and pains in their joints. And then all of a sudden, when you do get them to bring this constant high of insulin down, all these other aches and pains and things start getting better. So
Yes.
it's another reason why please don't eat 5 times a day. Let the body secrete the insulin and do what it needs to do to store it after you've eaten, but don't keep it constantly high.